Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Girl in the Woods. Episode 13. Chapter 110 to 116. However, when it comes to the next day morning, I was so excited about Jake's visit to my house. So, I have totally disregarded Mr. Patterson's warning by then. We have been waiting so long for this day. I am not going to let anything, not even my fear, to ruin my happiness today. We have gone through so much, and we totally deserve happiness. Though I barely slept the last night, I woke up early and started cleaning the house. I want everything to be perfect when he comes here today. It is not like he comes here for the first time, but this is the first time he comes here officially to meet my parents and ask for my hand. God! Even when I turn that to words, it feels like a dream. Who thought a girl nobody wanted would have a happy day like this? A handsome, bright young man with gentleman qualities is coming today to ask for my hand. More than anything, that man loves me so much. I never thought my life would be beautiful like this. I wrote down a menu, what I need to prepare for tonight. I want to make it grand, more than that day when Mr. Patterson visited us. I want to cook Jake's favorite food items. So after preparing the menu, I wrote down another list, a grocery list. It became a pretty long one at the end. I don't even know I have enough money to buy all those. When I was thinking nervously while looking at the grocery list, Shane came to my help. He volunteered to buy all those for me. He has become such a good brother. But that was not the most important thing he did for me. I wanted to ask my parents to stay home for dinner because Jake is coming. But according to the current situation with them, I was sure that they are not going to listen to me. So Shane took that job as well. He said, "Mom and Dad, someone is coming to discuss his football career." So he asked Mom and Dad to stay for dinner to meet him. Thank God! I have him with me for everything. Likewise, I was getting ready for his visit with the best I could. My phone rang when I was preparing my apple pie. It was from Jake. "Hello," I answered the call happily. "Sarah," his voice sounded anxious. "Why? Is everything all right?" I asked worriedly. "Yes, everything is all right. But Dad has organized a celebration tonight for the closest people who supported him," he said after a small hesitation. My heart started to ache. My eyes filled with tears in no time. "Is that mean you are not coming today?" I asked, trying my best not to cry. I didn't even know he is going to have this type of celebration tonight. However, since all our closest family members are coming tonight, my presence is mandatory here. Actually, both me and Marina have to be at the celebration, else it would cause many problems, he said. His voice sounded miserable. "That means you can't come today?" I asked. "Listen, Princess," then he began to talk worriedly. "There is nothing I want to listen to, Jake. I thought all those dramas and everything is now over. But it seems like nothing is going to change even after the election. I have to just wait and see every day without getting anything. I am not someone who always complains about things. No matter what he asks me to do, all the time, I do them without hesitation. I always try to understand his situation and sacrifice my happiness just to cater for that situation. So I never thought I would talk like this to him. I didn't know what got into me at that moment. But I was totally disappointed, and I got furious with myself because I always have to be the person who sacrifices everything for everyone. It is not like that, Princess, Jake again tried to explain, but I was not ready to listen. I have always paid attention and understood people and their situations. Why no one is ever trying to understanding me and my feelings? I woke up at 4 today to clean up the house. It is not that our house looks like a garbage bin and needs a thorough cleaning, but I want everything to be perfect when you come here. After cleaning, I prepared a special menu, including your favorite food items. I have already made your favorite apple pie. You know, Jake, now it is 11 in the morning. I haven't taken any rest since I woke up. I didn't even have breakfast yet. Not just me, my brother is also wasting his time for us. Even now, he is out there buying groceries for me to prepare a grand dinner for you. But here you are, calling now and telling me that you won't come today. Just because you have to attend to another foolish celebration, and pretend like you are going to marry another girl. Maybe tonight also, I have to just stay in my room, crying and imagining you spend your time with her. I was sobbing like crazy, yet, I kept on talking angrily. You are so selfish, Jake, do you even realize that? You always made me the one who has to wait, who has to sacrifice. When these things are going to change, Jake? Like all the other girls, I also love to take your hand and walk with you, I also love to tell the whole world that you are mine. But have I ever complained about those things? You asked me to wait till this election is over, you said you will make everything correct after that. Earlier I thought you would tell your parents about us after the election, but then you said you have to wait for the perfect time to reveal it to your parents. I agreed to even that because at least you are coming here and talk with my parents. But now, I don't know when your stupid excuses will be finished. When will you accept me as your girlfriend in front of other people? The more you wait patiently, hoping everything would turn all right, the more you get frustrated when it doesn't happen as you expected. Deep inside me, I knew Jake is not trying to postpone meeting my parents, he is helpless. It is his father's victory celebration, he has to be there. But that logical understanding was not enough to calm down my aggressive self. He didn't say anything for a few seconds. Please, stop crying, princess, then he said wistfully. God. His voice was filled with helplessness more than anything. Why? Do you even care if I am crying or not? I was not ready to surrender in front of his helplessness. You know exactly, that I do care if you are crying, princess, he replied with the same helplessness. I didn't say anything, but I didn't stop sobbing as well. As Jake said, I knew, my crying makes him sadder than anything. At that moment, making him miserable felt like a relief to me. I know that is cruel, but what to do, I am a human too. Please stop crying, princess. Go and continue making your delicious pie. After a small pause, Jake said. I will just throw it to the garbage bin, I said, angrily. Then what are you going to serve me when I come to your home, tonight? He then asked. What, did I really heard he said tonight, or am I just imagining things out of pure frustration? Stop crying and continue preparing your menu items, princess. I am coming tonight to meet your parents and asking them to give their daughter to me, he said calmly. You don't have to skip your father's celebration for me, I replied still angrily, but I want to do it. Please forgive me, princess. I should not even tell you about this celebration in the first place, I am just stupid. I promised you I am going to make everything correct for you, and I am doing it as I promised. I don't want you to lose your faith in me, he said in a charming yet firm voice. I didn't know what to say. I felt like a naive high school girl who got into a stupid fight with her boyfriend. I will be leaving soon from here, princess. Wear that dress I bought you last month. Remember, the one you said you want to wear on an important day. Today is going to be a special day for us, my love." With his words, all my anger and frustration just vanished, and my heart filled again with hopes and happiness. After the call, I ran back to continue on my work. As he said, today is going to be a special day for us, and I will make it extra special. Jake's POV: today I am going to meet her parents and ask them to let me have their daughter. My princess has waited so long with a lot of patience for this day. I will tell her parents today, but I have to wait a bit more before letting my parents know about this. My birthday is just next week, it will be the perfect day to let them know. Dad always makes my birthday an ask for anything day. So this year I am going to ask for my love. I had already packed my bag to leave home when my mom came to my room. "What you are doing?" she asked with wide eyes, looking at the bag I have packed. "I am going. I have a lot of things to do there. I have missed so much because of the campaign," I said. "What about the celebration tonight?" she asked confusedly. "What celebration?" I asked, because no one said anything about a celebration. "Why didn't Dad tell you? We are going to have a celebration for our closest people who support Dad," she said. "He didn't tell me about that." "Anyway, Mom, I don't have to be here, right? I have already planned some work tonight," I said nervously. "I have promised Sarah that I would come today. I can't break my promise." "No, darling, you should be here. Marina is coming too, and you both need to be here, else it will cause a lot of unnecessary rumors and all. We can't afford to have them right now," Mom said. "But Mom, I agreed to this fake relationship thing until the election only. Now it is over. I can't do this anymore," I said with a bit of anger. Pretending like loving someone else other than my Sarah is extremely painful. I don't even want to stay near any other girl. Please, darling. Just this time. Please do it for Dad. After today, we are not going to trouble you," then my mom started to plead. I love my mom so much. It is so hard to reject when she asks for something. She usually doesn't ask me to do anything. So I had to accept what she said. "Okay, Mom, for this once only," I finally said. However, when I took a call to Sarah to inform her about what has happened, she reacted in a way I never expected. My always calm and cool little princess became pretty aggressive, and she started to blame me so hard. Her words felt like sharp knives, but what she said was true. She has the right to blame me. Listening to everything she was doing to welcome me made my eyes filled with tears. I shouldn't even tell her about this celebration in the first place. I have to solve this issue from my side and go to her house today. I have to keep my promise for the girl who never forces me to do anything for her satisfaction. Who always sacrifices her happiness, her needs for myself and my family. Loving two women so much at the same time is so hard. Even when those two women are your mother and your fiancé. I don't even know how some of the people manage to have affairs with two women. Now I have to convince my mother in a way that won't hurt her feelings. Making her sad is the last thing I want to do right now. As usual, it was Luke who came to my help. He made a perfect plan for that. I went to my mom's room and started a casual conversation with Mom. Right at that time, Luke gave me a call. I put the phone to the loudspeaker. "Hey, Luke. Say hi to Mom," I said. "Hello, Auntie. How are you? I am really sorry I have no time to talk much, I am in a hurry. Jake, Coach Raphael said he wants to have the training session this evening because he has got some other special duty tomorrow. Coach Raphael is one of the top football coaches in the world. He is in our country these days, and he came to our university for a visit. Also, he has planned for a training session for us, which is truly an amazing opportunity for all of us. I have already said about this with my mom. She knew exactly that I am never going to use my contacts to get anything in my life. Everything I have achieved and I am going to achieve in football totally depends on my pure talents. So my mom knew this is an opportunity I cannot miss because there is a chance he allows some of us to get more training sessions with him. Actually, that training session is on tomorrow, but we made this story to find an excuse for me to leave. God. Really? I am not able to come today, what can I do now? Won't he do any other training sessions with us? I asked. I don't think he would do. He is a pretty busy guy, right? Luke said. Then I may miss that, I said sadly. Are you crazy, Jake? This is a golden opportunity for you. Luke said. I will take care of things here, darling. You may go for the training session, then Mom said. With just one call from Dad, this type of issue can be solved. Both Mom and I knew that. But she also knew that I don't like Dad making calls to people for me. I don't want him to use his powers for me. But Mom, I tried to say. Don't worry, darling. I will look after everything. You shouldn't miss this. When Mom said, caressing my head, my heart started to feel like shattering to pieces. Why I have to lie to such an amazing mom? Please, Mom, forgive me. But I will make it up to you soon. I have no doubts that you will be glad to have a wonderful daughter-in-law like my princess. You two are a lot alike, and she will fulfill your desire to have a daughter. I really want to tell you the truth. I know you will understand me, but the problem is you are extremely loyal to Dad. You won't be able to keep this from Dad. I don't think this is the correct time to let Dad know about this. Forgive me for this once, Mom. Chapter 111, Sarah's POV. Everything was ready for his arrival. I wore the dress Jake asked me to wear and put my hair loose, just the way he likes. We all were waiting in the living room for him to come. Dad and Mom were reading newspapers on the sofa. Shane and I were sitting next to each other. Shane was doing something with his phone, but I was doing nothing. I was so excited, and I couldn't make up my mind to do anything else, other than waiting for him. He came to the city by his helicopter. That saved his time a lot. So he could take some rest at his home here. He must be tired because of all the election work in the last few days. He sent me a text saying he is leaving from his home to come here a short while ago. I was just looking at the wall clock nervously while thinking about how I am going to react when Jake reveals our relationship with my parents. Anyway, I am pretty sure that Mom would jump with happiness. She talked very high about him even before she knew that he is the only son of Victor McMiller. That day when she got to know about his family, she couldn't stop talking about Jake. She thought Shane is lucky because he got the opportunity to be on the same team with Jake. Now when she gets to know that Jake is going to be her son-in-law, she won't be even able to believe that. Dad would also be excited. Having a son-in-law like my Jake guarantee that he is going to get his well-deserved comfortable life very soon. It is being more than half an hour since he told me that he is leaving, but he still didn't come. It doesn't take more than 15 minutes to reach here. But it is raining heavily outside and thundering and lightning too. It is almost like a mild storm out there. Maybe that's why he is late. Even though I waited this long patiently for this day, it is impossible to spend this few minutes until he comes here. Time is running fast, but he is still not here. What are you doing, Jake? God! This nervousness is going to kill me. Don't worry, it is raining heavily. You know how bad traffic can be in the rain, Shane muttered, without me saying anything. He can understand me pretty well. It is surprising how fast he learned to read me like a book. Maybe because we are twins, it became easy for him. We waited for some time more. Now it is more than an hour. Slowly, my nervousness is turning to fear. Why is he getting this late? No matter how bad the traffic, he can get here by now. Give him a call, Shane whispered again. I wanted to give him a call for about 30 minutes now, but I didn't because I don't want him to lose focus when he is driving in this ugly weather. God! Why did you give us such nasty weather today? Don't you know how important today is for us? The call went straight to the voicemail. WTF? Why your phone is not working, Jake? I kept on trying to call him, but there was no success. It is nearly 1.5 hours by now, and even if he just walked, he should have arrived here long before this. I was so scared and almost crying, without knowing what to do. Dad and Mom asked for the 5th time why Shane's guest is late. Shane had to convince them and look after me at the same time. Finally, we both thought it is better to take a call to Luke. When I took my phone to dial his number, Shane's phone rang. The caller ID said it is Luke. My heart filled with some unknown coldness. I don't know why, but my heart says something serious has happened. Hello, Shane answered the phone. What? Shane almost screamed. Even Mom and Dad looked at him confusedly. Yet, what I thought was right, something critical has happened. My Jake. I hold Shane's hand. Yes. I understand. Okay, I will. Shane was looking down and still talking to Luke. After he hung up the call, he raised his head and looked at me. The situation is worse than I imagined, that's what I felt when I saw his face. Without saying anything, Shane hugged me tightly. Though I didn't know what has happened, his warm hug gave me relief for a second. Don't get panic, we will get through this okay, he whispered to my ear. My heart was thumping in my chest. I had even forgotten to breathe. Jake's car was hit by a truck. He is now in ICU, Shane said. ICU? My love is in the ICU. His car was hit by a truck. I don't want to lie to you, sis. His condition is pretty serious, Shane said, tightening his hands around me and cuddled me more to his chest. My face was buried in his chest. So when I started to cry like crazy, it didn't make much noise. I couldn't even believe what I heard. We were so close to getting our happiness, and everything got ruined like this. My Jake. My poor baby. He is fighting for his life now. Why God? Why are you so cruel? What wrong have we done to deserve this? Shane took me to the hospital, but we were not allowed to even go near the ICU. The whole hospital was filled with police officers and guards. President McMiller's son is in the ICU. Other than the family, no one is allowed to go after this corridor. 2 police officers were restricting people even enter the corridor that leads to the ICU. I am his fiancé. He is engaged to me. So I am his family. I wanted to say. But how can I? Shane made a call to Luke. Luke said he would come to us. I was crying since I got the news, and by that time, I had no energy left to even stand up straight. My heart was like it has shattered to pieces. My head was going to explode. Shane made me sit on a chair, and I leaned onto the wall to rest my aching head. Luke came to us with a few minutes. He sat next to me and hugged me. His hug made me cry even louder. I felt like I am going to get mad. We both love Jake more than our lives. Jake loves us more than his life too. The only difference is he loves me as his girlfriend while he loves Luke as his brother and best friend. So whatever the pain I am going through, Luke is going through the same. How is he? I wanted to ask, but I was afraid. However, Shane asked that for me. He got badly injured, the injury in his head is serious. Doctors are performing an operation, Luke said, still hugging me. What a cursed woman I am. Since I was born, my parents and brother had to suffer because of me. Since I entered Jake's life, he had to face so many troubles. Now his life is also at risk. I am not getting any happiness in my entire life, and I am just making other people's lives miserable. It is better if I wasn't born in the first place. Please, God. Please kill me. But please don't do any harm to the people I love. Shane's POV. I walked with Luke a bit away from Sarah. Jake's condition is serious than Luke said in front of Sarah. I could read it from Luke's face. I have never seen his handsome face filled with so much pain and distress. His eyes were red, and he couldn't talk even 2 words without his voice shaking and making him cry. His life depends on this operation, Luke said before I asked anything. Probability of this operation getting succeed is very low, he then added. I felt like my heart stopped for a second. It was like I got hit by a car. I can't even explain the pain I got. I can't even imagine the pain Luke has, given that he is Jake's best friend and they are like brothers. I don't really know how Sarah would be able to stand this. She is one of the strongest girls I have ever seen, but I don't think she is strong enough to hear this. I didn't know what to say or how to react. Luke turned to me and looked right into my eyes. I am going to kill that BD, he said, angrily. There was no need to ask who he referred to. Do you think, Mr. Patterson is behind this? I asked. Though Mr. Patterson warned Sarah that he would hurt one of us, I never thought he would do something this dangerous. Of course. There is an eyewitness. According to him, that truck purposefully drove to Jake's car. He may not have kept any trails behind, so the police won't be able to catch him, but this time he is not going to escape from me. I will finish him and go to jail happily, Luke said. When I was about to talk, police officers started to run here and there clearing the way. I saw Victor McMiller was walking towards us. Mrs. McMiller was also coming behind him, in her wheelchair. There was a woman to push her wheelchair. Mrs. McMiller was just sitting in the wheelchair lifelessly. The pain and worry in her face remind me about my poor sister. I quickly turned around to see where I left Sarah to sit. She was barely standing up, leaning to the wall. She was staring at the way Jake's parents were going towards the ICU. No matter how much she loves Jake, she is not his family yet. Maybe she loves Jake more than his mom and dad love him, but she is not allowed to even go near the ICU. She is not allowed to walk to the doctors and ask how his condition is. Jake's parents are getting everyone's sympathy, and the whole country may stand with them to help them and share their sadness. But for my poor sister, she will just have Luke and me by her side. My heart filled with so much love and sadness for my twin. Leaving Luke there, I ran to her and hugged her cold, trembling body. Luke's POV. The only way to show the pain I am going through right now is to take my heart out and show. Other than that, I don't know the words to explain my pain. Indeed, I have one-sided love, but that doesn't mean I love him any less. Maybe I love him more than his parents or Sarah loves him. Though I stood up straight and talked with people, I did all of those automatically. I was dying inside. Uncle Victor wanted to take Jake to the best hospital in the capital, but according to his condition, it was not possible. So he got all the best doctors here to treat Jake. No matter how good the doctors are, there is a very low probability of this operation go well. Even if it goes well, there can be so many side effects. I was waiting in front of the ICU with Jake's parents. I felt sad about Sarah. She must be here with us. But what can I do? We have so many people around us, but poor Sarah has just her brother with her. But my Jake got into this trouble because of her. If she didn't make him come today, this wouldn't happen. Then my Jake may still at Uncle Victor's celebration. After she entered Jake's life, he had to go through a hell lot. He was always worried because of her. He had to make so many sacrifices, she is not even aware of. After everything, when he was going to get his happiness, he had to fight for his life just because of her bad luck. What am I thinking? Am I going completely insane? I am thinking like an uneducated countryside woman. Sarah will happily sacrifice her own life for Jake's happiness. She is never doing anything that would bring any harm to my Jake. I know it exactly. But my obsessive love for Jake is making me hate her right now. Luke, I came back to reality when Uncle Victor talked to me. Yes, Uncle, why Jake came here today, even skipping the celebration, he asked, looking right into my eyes. Uncle, we have this training session with, I was trying to tell. But he stopped me. I have already called Mr. Raphael, Luke, even before Jake leaves home. I let him leave even when I know he is lying because I didn't want to put so many restrictions on him. But see what he has got into because he lied to us and come here. He said. He seemed to be angry, and from his side, he is right. I looked down without saying anything. How can I tell he came here to meet his girlfriend's parents? No matter what happened, Sarah is Jake's soulmate. His true happiness is within his relationship with Sarah. I can't destroy it. If you are not telling me, that's okay. But I will find out. You know, there is nothing I can't find out, he then said in a firm voice. Chapter 112. Sarah's POV. I was waiting with Shane until we get some news after Jake's surgery. We both were just sitting next to each other quietly. Shane broke that silence from time to time, asking me if I want anything to drink or eat. But I had no appetite for food. Also, I didn't feel thirsty even though I have cried too much, and my body is actually dehydrating. When he asks about food, I always remember the food I cooked for my Jake. I spent the whole day by cooking his favorite food items, but he is just lying unconsciously in the operation theater without even knowing what I have prepared for him. We had no way of getting any information about Jake's status if Luke doesn't call us. Though we need to call him every single minute and ask about Jake's condition, we didn't want to disturb him. So we had to wait nervously for him to call us or come and talk to us. I have been waiting for my whole life for so many things to happen. But none of those times felt this hard. I was so scared and nervous. I think that has made me mechanical. I was on autopilot mode, and my mind was completely shut. Actually, it is better. Otherwise, if I get emotional, I don't even know I would be able to sit and wait there like that. We have been here for nearly 3 hours now. Do you want anything to eat or drink? Shane asked for God knows how many times. I just shook my head just like in the previous times. I am going to get some water anyway. You must drink at least some water, Sarah. You have utilized all your body water to cry. He said worriedly. But I didn't feel like saying anything in return. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back, then Shane said and left me. Soon after he went, I saw Jake's father was coming in my direction with 2 doctors. A few guards and police officers were following them. Does the operation over? I stood up involuntarily. What is your suggestion then? I heard Jake's father asked from one of the doctors. They were walking so fast, I couldn't hear anything more than that. God! I wanted so much to run to them and ask how my Jake is. But I was so helpless. Though my Jake treats me like his everything, for these people, I am just no one. Even if I run to them and ask, those guards will throw me out, maybe those police officers arrest me. I stared for some time at the way they disappeared. When I was about to sit back, thinking should I call Luke, I saw Jake's mom also coming to this direction. She was just sitting in her wheelchair, and another woman was pushing it, just like earlier. When both of them were passing the place I was standing like a statue, another woman came to her. She bent towards Jake's mom and hugged her. Jake's mom started to cry so hard. That woman raised her head, then only I saw who it is. It was Mrs. Bernard's, Luke's mom. Beth. My poor Jackie, Jake's mom was crying. Don't worry, darling. Everything is going to be all right, Mrs. Bernard said, holding Jake's mom's hands. I felt something serious was going to happen, Beth. I asked him to stay home because of that, not because of the party. But when this thing with Coach Raphael came up, I didn't want to stop him from coming today. I should have been more strict and didn't let him come today. Then my Jackie is still safely at our home. Jake's mom was saying between her cries. I felt like I got just hit by a metal bar right on my head. Jake fighting for his life was enough for me to be in the most miserable state I have ever been in my life. But after hearing what Jake's mom's told, I truly felt like it is better to kill myself than knowing my Jake faced this unfortunate incident because of me. He called me in the morning and told me he won't be able to come today because of the celebration he has at home. But how did I react? I got all aggressive, and I talked to him TTY things. I made him sad and helpless. I acted like a really dumb high school girl. He said he will come today because he couldn't see me unhappy. But to keep his promise to me, he had to even lie to his mom. Finally, he faced this tragic accident because he came here today. Because I made him come here today, if I didn't act so naive and understand his situation, then he won't come here today. He would still be safe at his home, just like his mom said. Not only that, what if that Patterson is behind this accident? If I listened to him and agreed to whatever the he said, my Jake may still be safe. I am the main reason my poor babe in such a critical state. Jake's mom started going in the same direction where his dad went. Mrs. Bernard's also walked away with her, holding her hand. I was staring at them with tear-filled eyes until they were out of my vision. Sobbing like crazy, I dropped down to a chair. It was so hard to even breathe. My head was going to explode. I bent down and hid my head between my hands. There is no doubt, I am cursed. My unluckiness is affecting him as well. He had this perfect life, and I came to his life and made it a hell. If something happens to my Jake, what am I going to do? Killing myself won't be enough. If something happens to him, it will ruin their parents' lives as well. It will destroy Luke's life, as well. Then it will affect Shane's life as well and thereby my parents' lives as well. God! All these people, especially the people I love more than my life, are going to suffer because of my unluckiness. Sarah! Sarah! Shane started shaking me. I didn't even know when he came back. He seemed so worried and panicked. But I didn't want to lift my head up. Sarah! What has happened? Shane yelled at me again. But I kept on crying without lifting my head up. Sarah! Tell me what has happened. He is okay, right? He asked again with a shaking voice. When I didn't respond, he lifted my head forcefully and removed my hands from covering my face. Don't make me go crazy, Sarah. Tell me what has happened, he then peeped to my eyes and asked. Shane. Luke's voice raised behind us at the same time. We both stood up automatically. Is the operation over? What has happened? I tried to read from his face, but his face was filled with so many emotions, and it was difficult to detect any emotion separately. My heart was beating so rapidly, and my whole body was cold. Surgery is over, Luke said, coming towards us. So, Shane asked nervously. It is 50% success, Luke said. What does that mean? Shane asked, confused. I don't understand it completely, but they could solve the fatal issue he currently had. However, they couldn't totally recover him either. He is in a coma. When he said the last word, his voice sounded like he was crying. Coma, me and Shane said in unison. My Jake is in a coma. God! Why are you so cruel? Why you punish him for my cursed life? Yes. At the time he is stable though he is in a coma, according to the doctors, they can't guarantee anything until he came out of coma, Luke said. I felt my legs get lifeless, I couldn't feel my feet anymore. When I was about to fall, Shane put his arm around me and made me lean to him. Then he made me sit on a chair safely. Can I see him? I asked. At that moment, I was ready to even die if I get a chance to see my Jake and kiss his handsome face for one last time. I am sorry, Sarah. Only the family members and I are allowed. Luke said. You saw him? I asked. Yes, for the first time in my life, I felt jealous. I envy Luke because he got to see my Jake, but I didn't get that chance. His dad is going to take him to Central Hospital, Luke then said. What? But he is in a coma. Is it okay to move him that far? Shane asked, confusedly. He discussed with doctors. It is possible to move him under heavy supervision of the specialists. Luke said. When is he going to move him? Shane asked. Thank God, I have this twin brother in my life. He asks all the questions that come to my mind as he reads me. Within a few hours, Luke said casually. Within a few hours. I exclaimed. That means he is being taken away from me within a few hours. Even now, I don't get to see him, but at least he is there a few meters away from me. But after a few hours, he will be hundreds of miles away from me. Yes. He has given the orders to arrange everything to shift him. Luke said. Don't be sad, Sarah. If they can shift him there, that is the best thing. He can get all the specialized treatments without any delay. Shane tried to convince me. I know that, but how can I make up my mind when he is that far away from me? I don't think I will be even able to breathe properly. Guys, I have to go now. I have to arrange a few things. I will call you. Luke said in a hurry, and he left us. We both started at the way Luke disappeared. Luke seemed so different. Reasonably, he is sad and frustrated because the person he loves more than his life is fighting with his life. But I felt something more from his behavior. I felt like he is angry with me. I also felt like he hates me. Well, he has all the right to be angry with me and hates me. Shane and I stayed at the hospital until they moved Jake. But we didn't get any chance to see him. After came home, I directly went to my room, totally ignoring my parents, who were staying in the living room all confused. I was in the same outfit I wore yesterday evening to welcome my babe. But I didn't have any need to get a shower and change clothing. I dropped down to my bed. I was exhausted both physically and mentally. Anyway, mental exhaustion was worse than the physical one. Can there be any other girl who suffers more than me? When I come so close to get some happiness in my life, something always comes up. If someone else told me that they had faced this much troubles in their lives, I don't even believe them. My whole life feels like a drama with never-ending problems. God was so generous when He gives unluckiness to my life. I was lost in my own thoughts when someone knocked at my door. Sarah, Shane's voice raised. I said. He opened the door and entered. You still in the same outfit? Get up now, he said. I didn't say anything. I didn't change the way I was lying down. Sarah. Get up now, then he said, raising the volume of his voice. I don't want to get up, Shane. Please let me be like this, I said, turning my face away from him. Get up and get ready. We have to leave soon. He then came to me and pulled me from my hand. Leave? Where? I asked confusedly. To where they took your fiancé, Shane said. What? I sat on the bed automatically. We are going there. How? It is too far. I asked Luke to arrange a place for us to stay, he replied indifferently. Are we really going there? But that is too far, and what are we gonna do there? Also, how long are we gonna stay? I asked excitedly. Even the idea that I am going near my babe made me feel a lot better. Yes, we are really going there. Indeed it is too far, and we don't have a helicopter as they do, but I will drive you there in my poor car. We are going to stay in the central hospital, close to Jake as we are allowed to. We are going to stay there until you want to come back, Shane said. I should have so many other things to ask if I thought rationally at that moment. I should have asked how are we going to bear all the expenses. I should have asked about the training session Shane has tomorrow. I should ask what are we going to do about our lectures. But at that moment, I was not feeling logical at all. So I didn't ask any of those questions. I was just excited like a little girl who was promised to be taken to the park by her parents. I hugged Shane as tightly as I could. What we are going to do now is stupid. But I am so happy that I have a brother who does this stupid thing with me to make me feel better. I love you so much, Shane. I whispered. Shane got permission from our dad to go there. He said, Luke, he and I are going to stay in the hospital for some time as we are the closest friends Jake has. Dad didn't try to dig into anything. He just let us go. Even Mom didn't try to say anything. I think they both have felt something pretty big has happened, and I think they have understood Jake is close to Shane and me more than they know. After a 6 hours drive we reached Central Hospital. We met Luke there. Luke has arranged a small apartment close to the hospital. Shane and I sat in the corridor that leads to the ICU where they keep my Jake. That is the maximum we could go to. We stayed there for a few hours, and I wanted to use the washroom. So, leaving Sonny there, I went to the washroom. When I was coming out of the washroom, a woman came to me. Sarah Anderson, she said, looking right into my eyes. Yes, I said, trying to recall who she is. I am Sergeant Watson. She said, showing me her ID. I looked at her confusedly. What a policewoman has to do with me? Please follow me, Miss Anderson, she said. Why? Why should I follow you? I asked, both confused and scared. There is someone who wants to meet you. Please. Come with me, she said politely. But that was not a request, it was an order. I have enough problems already. So I didn't want to protest. Thinking who wants to meet me, I followed her to a room. She opened the door for me and let me in. I was stunned to see the person who was waiting for me in the room. Chapter 113, I entered the room, thinking who wants to see me right now. I don't even know anyone here. A person was sitting on a rotating chair in the room. He had his back turned to my direction, but when he heard I entered the room, he turned to my side. Oh my God! My heart stopped beating for a second. My feet frozen. Victor McMiller. Yes. It is indeed him. Looking exactly like the matured version of my Jake. Why he wants to meet me. How he knows that someone like me even exists in this world. God. Has he got to know about my relationship with Jake? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What am I going to do now? Jake was going to tell his dad about us on his birthday, which comes next week. He said that is the perfect time to let him know. So what am I going to do now? What am I supposed to say even? Sarah, his deep voice raised. I totally lost my ability to speak. I was just staring at Jake's dad like I am insane. Come and sit, then he said. His voice sounded calm, but there was a clear dominance in it. I walked towards him slowly. There was not even 3 meters distance between us, but I found it super hard to walk even that. I sat on the chair he pointed me. The man who is in front of me is not just Jake's dad, but he is the newly elected president of our country too. The most powerful person in the country. Though he looked so much like Jake, his features clearly said that he is a dominant, strict person who values his principles more than anything else. When compared to him, what am I? I am just nothing. I was just looking down, I had no strength to look into his face. Sarah Anderson, I think you know who am I, he asked. I nodded my head, still looking down. What you know about me, then he asked. I lifted my head up and peeped at his face. His eyes were focused on mine. Those eyes had an unbearable piercing look like he is going to look into my soul through my face. You are the new president, I said, but even I couldn't hear clearly what I said. Is that all you know? He then asked. God! Why he makes me feel this uncomfortable. Mr. McMiller, for God's sake, I clearly know who you are, and you definitely know that I know who you are. So why make this so uncomfortable? I looked at his face again. His eyes were still focused on my face, and he is waiting for my answer. You are Jake's father. I released a sigh and replied. Why you seem so afraid if you know who am I? He then asked. Oh, God! What is this? A court hearing? I didn't say anything. According to what I found about you, you are a smart, independent girl. I didn't think you will be this afraid in front of me, he said coolly. So he has found information about me. What is going to happen now? Don't be afraid. Look at me, he then said. Easier to say, Mr. McMiller. However, gathering all my courage, I looked right into his eyes. God! It is so hard to keep looking into these eyes. I feel like I become totally naked, and my body and soul both are fully exposed to him. You are a simple girl, nothing distinctive, he said, after looking into my face sharply for a few seconds. I think my son prefers brain than the look, he then said, sending a shiver down my spine. He knows. He exactly knows. I looked down immediately. Don't try to pretend you don't know what I am talking about, Sarah. That is not the nature of a smart girl, he said. I don't want to pretend anything. But I was so afraid to talk to Jake's dad. Not because he is the president or a dominant man. I fear him because I respect him as Jake's dad. I am afraid because I don't want to say anything unnecessary and make a wrong impression on me. I looked up and focused my eyes on his face. I should keep on looking at his face no matter what he says. I don't want him to think I am a weak girl. I know everything about you too. Until yesterday, I didn't know anything about you, but now, I know about you even more than you know about yourself, Mr. McMiller said. Of course, you are the most powerful person in this country. You can do that easily. I didn't know about you earlier because I didn't want to know. Jake doesn't like me putting a lot of restrictions on his life. He always says he wants to lead his life like a normal youth. So I let him and I trusted him. He kept my trust for all these years. He has never lied to me until yesterday, he said. The look on his eyes, God, I don't even have words to explain the disappointment it carried. Even when he lied to his mom and me yesterday and left home, I let him. I wanted him to have the freedom he wants. But today, I regret I let him have that. True. I can understand the way you feel, Mr. McMiller. If you didn't let him go, then he would still be safe. I wish I could convert my thoughts into words. He has cheated me all these years, he then said. His voice has turned so much. Now he sounds angry. My heart started to ache. After hearing the word cheated, isn't that word a bit harsh? I think a smart girl like you can understand that he has put his life into danger because of you, he said, treating me with his piercing look. He has gone to so many places when he is not supposed to go. He has done many stupid things when he knows that there is a risk. He has made himself vulnerable because of you. It is a miracle that he didn't get into this trouble much earlier. I know, lying to his parents yesterday and go there is not the right thing to do, but Jake's dad is not talking about yesterday. What are the other times he is talking about? I couldn't even understand. I think he understood what I was thinking. He is so good at reading people. I think that's the main reason for his success. Do you think about going to the 10th floor in your faculty frequently to meet you is a good idea? His security people can't go there, and there are no CCTV cameras as well. Anything could have happened. Also, do you think to go to an abandoned building in a dark evening to save you from a set of drunk gangsters is a wise thing to do? Do you know even going to Luke's house without letting his security people know is very risky? I don't blame you for those because you don't understand the seriousness of the life threat we have, but he clearly understands all those. His mom has to stay in a wheelchair for her entire life. The risk associated with our lives is that critical, yet he chose to risk his own life just to have fun with you. I felt downhearted. Jake is stupid to put his life in danger, Mr. McMiller, but he didn't do those to just have fun with me. Risking his life, most of the time, he just needed to see me and talk with me. I highly doubt you know anything about love at all. Anyway, Sarah. He was lucky enough not to fall into trouble all those times. But this time, his stubbornness made him fight for his life. Also, I believe this is something you could avoid, he said, making me shiver again. What is he talking about? Does he know I forced him to go there yesterday? Don't be confused. I thought you are smart enough to understand who is behind this accident, he then said. You mean Mr. Patterson is behind this accident? For the first time without asking me to speak, I spoke. I had this doubt about Mr. Patterson from the beginning. But with the way Jake's dad talks, I guess he has confirmed it already. Of course. He told me that by himself, he replied indifferently. What, he said that by himself? I exclaimed. Then what are you doing now, without arresting that? He tried to kill your own son. I wanted to yell at him. I don't care if you do anything or not, Mr. McMiller, but I am going to kill that. I won't kill him at once either, he deserves a slow, painful death for what he did to my Jake. You might think if he accepted he did that, why am I not taking any action against him, he said calmly. Of course, sir, I think that. Not just me, any sensible person would want to ask that. I have made a promise, he said, freeing a sigh. Since I met him, this is the first time I saw sadness and helplessness in his eyes. I can guess to whom you may have promised, sir. But he tried to kill your son, can you just forget that? Jake is fighting for his death while the man who tried to kill him is freely walking out there. I don't even know how you stand this crime. I asked sharply. God knows from where I got that courage to speak up to him. But I truly felt what Mr. McMiller is doing by overlooking this crime is s.uck. He is a father. How a father can act like this? I don't think if the same thing happens to Shane, my father would think twice before choking Mr. Patterson to death. He looked at me with surprise in his eyes. Then he chuckled. Not just smart, a loyal, brave girl too. I think I can understand why my son prefers you over all the other girls then, he said with a small smile on his lips. My face turned red, and I looked down. Anyway, I can't break the promise I made to my sister. Also, not just Andrew is responsible for what happened to my son. You are equally responsible, Miss Anderson. He is talking about the offer Mr. Patterson brought me, isn't he? If you agreed to what he asked, then none of these things would happen, he said calmly, like what he said was extremely logical. I stared at him. Sarah, I want you to use your brain now, not your heart. Try to understand what I am now going to say, he said, looking deeply into my eyes. My eyes filled with tears. I think I know what you are going to say, Mr. McMiller. Please, I beg you, don't say that. Please don't. I think you can understand the gap between you and my son. I am capable of giving him anything. Also, with his talents, knowledge, and his look, he can get anything he wants even if he doesn't get anything from me. But you? I think I don't need to talk about it even. You exactly know your status. Well, I know that. If Jake is the sun who lights up the whole world, I am not even worth to be a tiny star in the same sky. My parents are not wealthy. I am not from a high-class family. Even if I graduate with a first class and get a good job, I will never be able to match with him. I understand my status very well, but until now, I have never felt so helpless and miserable because of how poor I am. I don't even have words to explain how vulnerable I feel right now. Why God, why you made me this poor and powerless so that I can't be a matching girlfriend to the person I love more than my life? However, even if we ignore the difference between you two, I can't ignore the threat my son is having. Andrew is not going to let my son live quietly until he gets what he needs. I can't take any actions against him either. I know you and Jake have gone to extents that you both feel you can't live without each other. But I think considering all the facts, only option we currently have is you leaving my Jake and marry Andrew. I have heard many things people said to make me feel bad and less of myself. But when we take all those cruel things together, they can't even come closer to what he just said to me. It is not just because he can't break a promise to his dead sister, but he wants to make this an opportunity to remove this poor, low-class girl from his loving son's perfect life. When my mom once said that she wanted to kill me when I was in her womb, but Dad didn't let her do that, it made me miserable. The day she said that for the first time was the day I got the first text from Jake. Since then, my life changed so much, and I was really thankful for my parents for allowing me to live because I could have someone amazing like Jake in my life. But at this moment, I really hope my parents dared to remove me from my mom's womb. If they did that, everyone would be happy, and there will be no I to get this heart broken and fell worthless. Chapter 114. I was silent for a few minutes. My mind was filled with different thoughts. I was battling with my own thoughts to decide what is the answer I should give him. After all the politicians are the same, aren't they? One of the main principles in his election campaign was equality. In almost all of his speeches, he talked about equal treatment to all the citizens. But when it comes to his private life, he doesn't give a shit about equality. He is willing to break his son's relationship because I am not from a matching family to them. For the whole time, I was drowned in my own thoughts. He didn't disturb me. Though I didn't look at his face directly, I could feel his gaze on my face. I knew there is no point in waiting speechless in front of him. Though he has only one option, I have two. I can either agree to what he said and leave my Jake, or I can ask him to foo off and wait till my Jake recovered and make a decision for us. I know there is a risk in waiting for Jake to get recovered and solve this for us. Who knows what that Patterson would do next? He can secretly enter Jake's room and remove his ventilator as well. He is even capable of that, there is no doubt. But how can I so easily agree to what Mr. McMillar suggested? If he asked me to kill myself for my Jake, I will do that without thinking twice, but marrying Patterson, it will be like killing myself each and every second. Anyway, I can even do that for my Jake's safety, but when he gets recovered, how he will be able to endure this? He will definitely go mad. Finally, I took the decision. My love for Jake knows no limits. We have dreamt of a beautiful life together. Both of our lives are bounded to that dream. Without that dream, we would be just lifeless, emotionless robots. So I am not going to give up on that dream, not without a fight at least. I raised my head and looked up at Jake's father. Mr. McMillar, earlier, I thought you don't know anything about love. Now I realized you know nothing about your only son as well, I said boldly. I believe the pureness of my love for Jake gave me the strength to talk up to him. He looked at me with surprise, but this time he didn't chuckle. Even if I agree to marry Andrew, do you think Jake will accept that and stay without doing anything? I asked. No, he won't, he replied, freeing a sigh. But I can make him accept that. I am his dad, he then added. I chuckled. His lips twitched, and his eyelids fluttered. He seemed angry. But I don't feel afraid anymore because I have lost all my respect for him. You are his dad, and you knew him for his whole life. I knew him for a short period, but I think I have understood him way more than you have understood him. When he gets to know I agreed to marry that BD to save his life, he will drag me forcefully to a registrar and marry me. If not, he will kill that BD and go to jail happily. I said. Well, if you think he will act like that, then don't let him know you marry Andrew to save his life, he said casually. What? It slipped from my mouth without even thinking. You can pretend like you agreed to marry Andrew because your parents want that. He knows well that I am not going to marry Andrew because my parents want me to. I replied. Andrew will do something to make everyone believe that you agreed to marry him because your parents force you to do so. You don't have to worry about it, he said confidently. Really, Mr. McMillar? You and that BD Patterson are so much alike. I thought I have the worst parents, but it seems like my father is 1,000 times better than him. It seems you and Andrew have planned everything. I highly doubt you knew about Andrew's plan to hurt Jake earlier, and you just let it happen because you want to remove me from his life. I shouted at him. Yes. I shouted at the current president of the country. Well, I was furious at that moment, and if it was Donald Trump in front of me, I don't think twice before yelling at him too. Ms. Anderson. How dare you tell, I willingly put my son's life in danger. If anyone knew that Jake's life is in danger and didn't do anything to protect him, it was you. Only you. He said firmly. Then he stood up from where he sat and gave me another piercing look. I don't have time to waste. I have asked you to think about this problem with your mind, not with your heart. Now the decision is all yours. You can decide if you want to let my son's life in danger or you want to keep him safe. I have to tell you one more thing. Don't ever think of harming yourself, or running away from this problem. Because anything you do other than marrying Andrew will make him get that revenge on my son, he said. Then he left, leaving me alone in that room. As soon as he left the room, I couldn't control myself, and I buried my head on the table in front of me and started sobbing. I couldn't think of anything, my mind was total chaos. I don't know how long I have been crying like that. I was shocked and raised my head when someone kept his or her hand on my shoulder. I didn't even hear anyone entering the room. I was surprised to see Marina in front of me. But it felt like a relief from one side to have someone who can understand the situation I am currently in. She took a seat next to me. I held her hand tightly and continued to sob. Marina. My Jake, I said between tears. Don't worry, Sarah. He will recover soon. She said in a comforting voice. His father talked to me just now, I said, looking at her. I wanted to share this with someone. I don't think I can share this with either Luke or Shane. Letting them know would disturb the decision I am going to take. I know, she replied indifferently. What you know? I asked astonished. Yes, actually, Uncle Victor sent me here, she replied in the same tone. Is that mean you know what he said to me? I asked doubtfully. Yes, I know everything. Uncle Victor can't discuss these things with Aunt, so he discussed these with Grandpa, and me, she said. Then you know everything, Marina. You know Jake as well. Do you think Jake can bear if I marry anyone else? I asked. He will definitely go mad if that happens, she replied quickly. That's what I am also saying, but his dad doesn't understand this, I said. No. He understands that well, Sarah. But he knows we can help Jake overcome that madness if his life is safe. If you don't marry Andrew, then Jake's life is in utter danger, and none of us can save him. I stared at her. I couldn't even believe she said those words. I thought she has understood Jake pretty well. Also, Sarah. Don't think Jake won't be able to make up his mind after you marry Andrew. It will take time, but his mom, dad, and I are with him. The way she emphasized the word I made me shiver. What does that mean? Isn't she supposed to get back to her usual life after the election because that fake relationship thing is now over? Has she changed her mind? God. Please don't let her change her mind. I can't bear having her also against me at this time. I know we started everything just to help Uncle Victor, but I think you can understand it is so hard not to fall for his charm, she said, chuckling. We could spend a lot of quality time with each other. We got close to each other way more than we thought. To be honest, we crossed all the limits of our relationship, and that made us bond to each other more and more, Stop lying, you BH. I stood up and yelled at her. I wanted to choke this BH to the death. How dare she tries to lie about my Jake. I trust my Jake with my life. He never does anything that would make me sad. I don't know what are your feelings for him, but he treats you just as a friend or a sister. I screamed. I know it is hard to believe. But one night, when we both were exhausted after campaign work, we went to my apartment. He just came to drop me, but then he stayed for a drink. However, with exhaustion and everything, we got pretty drunk, and we became totally out of control. No. You are lying. You are one pathetic BH. I screamed, covering my ears from both of my hands. Just check this and then decide, she said, giving me her phone. She had opened her phone messages, and it was her chat with Jake, which was on display. Check from here, she said, pointing to a message sent from Jake. Believe me, I had no doubt that my Jake never break my trust. But God knows why I looked at the message she saw me. Jake, I have no words to say how much I feel sorry for what happened last night. I never expected something like that. You kept your trust in me, and I broke that. I broke the trust Sarah kept on me as well. Now I feel like I can't face any one of you. Marina, don't feel sorry about that. None of us planned it. It just happened. Don't think I regret that happened. I actually loved it. You know I had sex with many, but yesterday was my favorite. Tears were running down from my eyes without any break. I wonder why my heart didn't explode into pieces with the unbearable pain it had. I continued reading. Jake, I loved it too. I think that's why I feel this guilty. I love Sarah. I cheated on her, don't I? Really? You loved it, Jake? Did you love having sex with another girl? Marina, don't worry about her. Anything she doesn't know won't hurt her. However, I loved this happen, Jake. Jake, but this shouldn't repeat even once. Else we won't be able to stop it. I gave her the phone back. I didn't want to read further. So Jake had sex with her, and both of them loved it. Jake didn't want to do it again, not because he hates it, but he was afraid he won't be able to stop doing it. You may say, don't be a fool, Sarah, it can be a fake chat. I also like to think like that. But I checked it before I started reading. It was his number, and the chat seemed legitimate to me. My destiny has such a cruel way to play with me, hasn't it? I was worried because Jake was fighting with his life, then his father came and asked me to marry that to save Jake's life. Now, this girl came and said that Jake has cheated on me. I know this is not easy for you. But I promise you it never happened again. However, it created a bond between us. So don't worry, I can look after him after you marry Andrew. Without saying anything or without listening to anything, I left the room. I just wish I could leave my life the same way I left that room. If you ask me if I believed what she said to me, the answer is yes and no. I don't believe my Jake would cheat me like that, though my heart ached when I was reading those texts because they felt so real. Even if he did that with her when he was drunk or not in the right mind, I am sure he won't enjoy it afterward, right? However, I do believe that two of them have developed a special bond between them. Maybe she is right. They can make him forget me and make his heart after all. Like a zombie, I walked to where I left Shane. He was there walking here and there nervously. Luke was also with him. Where in hell you went? Shane yelled at me as soon as he saw me. Washroom, I said casually. What you did in the washroom for this long? Did you even know how much you made us worried, Sarah? this time it was Luke who barked at me. But I didn't feel anything at all. I was in a totally different state of mind. My mind was filled with worry, sadness, anger, jealousy, confusion, and all the other negative emotions you have ever gone through. Shane, I want to go home, I said, making both of them look at me with wide eyes. Are you crazy, Sarah? We came here today to stay until he gets okay. Why you want to go now? Shane yelled at me. Sarah. If you worrying about the expenses, don't worry. I will handle everything. Luke said. No, I am not worried about expenses. I just want to go home. Dad called me. I said. What? How many times did we call you, but you didn't answer? Yet you took Dad's call. Shane asked angrily. Mom is not well, I said in a voice I couldn't even believe is mine. What? Shane got worried. She tried to suicide. I said what I was asked to tell. I was playing my part of the drama well. Chapter 115, Shane's POV. What? She tried to suicide. I asked again as I was not even sure what I heard. I know my mom goes through mental breakdown all the time, but suicide? What the reason she needs to do that? We should go now, Sarah replied plainly. How is she? What has happened? I had thousands of questions going in my mind. I don't know much. Dad asked us to come, she said again. I couldn't believe the way she spoke even when our mom tried to suicide, and her boyfriend is in ICU. She is so calm and emotionless. That is so unlikely of her. Shane, I can arrange a helicopter for you too, Luke said. That's great. But what about my car? I asked. Luke was trying to avoid me for all these past days, but after this incident, he started to talk with me just fine. Don't worry about that. I will send it with a driver. Luke replied, and without waiting for me to respond, he took a call to someone to arrange a helicopter for us. I took a call to Dad, but he didn't say much except asking us to come home, and Mom is safe. I literally begged him to tell me what has happened, but he didn't say anything. What has happened to Dad? Why he acts this weirdly? Not just him who acts weirdly. Sarah refused to talk with me at all. She was just thinking all the time, and her quietness made me angry. She became a totally different person since she came after going to the washroom. God knows what has happened to her. How excited she was when I said we are going to stay in the hospital, but now she seemed like she doesn't even care what happens to Jake anymore. I even told her that I will go home alone and asked her to stay in the hospital. But she insisted she must go home. Everyone made me really confused and worried. I am so worried about both Jake and my mom, but now I have to worry about Dad and Sarah as well. God! I should have stayed as the old Shane, who doesn't give a sh*t about anything. Even when he worries about something, he could get drunk and someone to free his mind. Caring and loving people is so hard. However, we reached home quickly, thanks to Luke. I ran to my mom's room as soon as we reached home. Sarah was following me too, but she didn't have any rush. Mom was lying on her bed, and Dad was sitting next to her. What has happened? I ran to Mom and took her hand. My Shane, she said weakly. She took sleeping tablets to kill herself, but fortunately, I found her in the process and stopped her. Dad said. Why you didn't take her to the hospital, Dad? Is it safe to keep her home? I asked worriedly. I couldn't understand the calmness in Dad when Mom has done this much of a foolish thing. Maybe he doesn't want to make her upset now. If she is taken to a hospital, it becomes a huge process. Don't you know, trying to suicide is also a crime. I called our family doctor. He did what needed to be done, Dad replied. Why, Mom? Why you tried to do something like that? Why did you want to leave all of us? I took her hand to my chest and kept it right on where my heart is. She looked exhausted. I felt really sad for her. She has worked too much all her life. She hardly had any free time. She rarely had a chance to enjoy. My poor mom. I love you, my darling. I didn't want to leave you, she said weakly. Then why you did this, Mom? Don't you know how much I love you? I asked. No matter how cruel my mom can be, she is still my mom, and I love her. I am too tired to live, darling. I am just too tired. I have no energy left to keep on fighting, Mom said, smoothly caressing my face. This bit made my life hell. She threw away the only chance to make everything right for us. Then she said, pointing to Sarah, who was staring at us, standing by the door. This time her voice tone has completely changed. She was burning in anger as soon as she saw Sarah. I looked at Sarah worriedly. I know how she feels in this type of situation. But today her face looked utterly emotionless. Her expressions were totally blank. Mom, please don't tell like that, I tried to say. If she marries Mr. Patterson, our whole family wins. We can have everything we want without lifting a finger. But what she did? She is stubborn. When she started blaming Sarah, the weakness in her voice seemed to be disappeared. It's okay, honey. We can talk about these later. You have to take some rest, Dad said, interrupting her. Shane. This is the final outcome of depression. You knew that she is taking medicine for that. Now stop making her tired, the dad told me. At the same time, I heard our doorbell ring. I will go, I said, after keeping a small kiss on Mom's forehead and ask her to sleep well. Sarah moved a bit away from the door, giving me space to go. She was just staring at Mom blankly. God! Has she gone crazy? Is that why she acts this weird? After everything she has to go through, there is a possibility of she getting mad, right? Thinking and worrying about both my sister and Mom, I opened the door to find the devil himself. What are you doing here? I barked at Patterson, who was at our doorstep. He smiled. Is that the way to greet your visitors? He asked coolly. Greet? Of course, I was waiting to greet you. I grabbed his shirt collar. You, how dare you to come here again after everything you did? I yelled at him, shaking him. He is a muscular person, but with all the hard exercises and practices, I am stronger than him. Also, he was super calm, he didn't even protest. I was about to show my fist on his face when Sarah shouted at me. Shane! Stop! I am not going to stop today. I am going to show him what he deserves. I said, shaking him again. Shane, stop that! I am the one who asked him to come here. Sarah yelled at me again. What? I couldn't even believe what I heard. I released my grip on his shirt automatically. Yes. Let him come, she replied casually. What? Are you insane? I asked angrily. I am in the right mind, Shane, she said indifferently. Why you asked him to come, trying my best not to slap her and bring her back to her usual self. I asked him to come because she is soon to be my loving wife, that BD completed what Sarah was going to say. What? I shouted involuntarily. I went to her and grabbed her from her shoulder. What he is talking about? I yelled at her. He is telling the truth, she said calmly, looking to my eyes. What? Come back to your senses, Sarah. He is the one who is behind Jake's accident, I am sure about that. I said, trying to wake her up from this stupid state. There is no need of talking about those, Shane, she said. What? Sarah, are you serious? I asked, doubtfully looking at her. Yes, she said briefly. Of course, her face clearly said she is serious. Well, serious than ever. I thought I am the one who acts like a total IT and make other worries, but she is worse than me. We need to talk, I released my grip on her shoulder and told her. Okay, she said calmly. Andrew, you go up. Mom and Dad are there in the second room to your left, she said, looking at that BD. No. You wait here until I discuss it with my sister. I yelled at Andrew Patterson and blocked him. Shane, please. Let him go, Sarah said as a request, but her firm voice said it is not just a request. I freed a sigh. I was so confused. I moved a bit away, letting that BD enter. Then without waiting to see what he does, I grabbed Sarah's hand and took her to the kitchen. I will wait for you in the upstairs, baby. Patterson said, grinning at both of us. Baby. God. I could kill him. How dare him? Sarah didn't say anything in reply, she came with me without any objection. Tell me what has happened to you. You exactly know what type of person this BD is. On the other hand, you love Jake more than your life. I asked. I don't even have words to explain what I was feeling at that time. I have never been this confused in my whole life, not even at exams, though I never study for them. Mom tried to suicide because of me. If I marry him, everything will be all right, she said. She tried to suicide because she has depression. Even if you marry Andrew, she can still have depression. I said. Also, what about Jake, if you make a decision like this? That poor guy is fighting for his life out there, and you are going to marry the person who put him in this situation. Something is not right, Sarah. There is something you haven't told me. I said. Jake has his family with him, Shane. When he got fully recovered, his family will support him. Forget me. I am too tired of everything. I want to give Mom and Dad the life they deserve. Also, I want a life that I don't have to worry about every day, she replied. Sarah. We have discussed about Mom and Dad. We both agreed that we don't want Patterson to give them the life they deserve. We are capable of giving them the life they deserve. So why you changed your decision, all of a sudden? Mom tried to suicide because of me, she said. Sarah. We are coming back to the same thing. That is not a reason for you to marry that. Jake was on his way to talk with Mom and Dad. We can tell them everything about you too. If you can't, I can explain it to them. If you think Mom tried to suicide because of you, then telling about Jake will change her. I said. No, Shane, what I have with Jake is over, she said calmly. What? Jake and Sarah are the perfect couple I have ever known. The love they have for each other is endless. Something huge has happened, else Sarah will never say something like this. I have observed her for all this time. Her love for him is pure and honest. She would even die for him, and Jake is no different. Sarah. Please stop going around the bush. I know something huge has happened. Tell me please, I begged. There is no point in talking about these things now, Shane. We must go forward with our lives, she said, releasing a sigh. No. I am not going to let you go anywhere until you tell me the truth. I hold her from her shoulders. Shane. You are hurting me, she said, trying to escape from me. I know. Earlier, I want to hurt you to make you feel miserable, but now I am hurting you because I want to take you out of whatever problem you have. I said. Okay. If you want to know that much, I hate Jake right now, and I want to stay away from him and his drama. Mr. Patterson loves me, and he is ready to help our whole family, she said. Why you hate Jake? What has he done? It is not him, it is this BD you must hate. I said, angrily. As a guy, I can understand another guy and his feelings. Jake loves Sarah so much, I have no doubts about that. Andrew also loves Sarah. I can understand that, but when compared to Jake, he is just nothing. No matter how much Andrew loves Sarah, her happiness is with Jake, not with Andrew. I don't know why she can't understand that. I don't want to tell any bad about Jake. So let me go, she said, trying again to escape. No. I am not letting you go. Tell me, what Jake has done. I was not ready to give up. I am not letting her act foolishly. Jake cheated on me. When I was thinking about him day and night, he was having another relationship with Marina. Sarah said, making me astonished. You know it is just a drama, I said quickly. That is how we thought. But one day, when they both were drunk, they had sex. What? Jake had sex with that girl. I forgot to even breathe. Not just had sex. Both of them have enjoyed it. You know Shane, he has sent her a text saying they shouldn't repeat that at least once because he was afraid they won't be able to stop that. I have never cheated on him even from a thought. I can forgive him for doing it, but he should have told me that he had made a mistake and apologize. I am fed up with all his drama and everything. He has lied to me every day. I don't want to be in a relationship like that. Indeed, Andrew is not a good person, but at least he loves me and he is not cheating on me. She was talking and tears were running down from her eyes. I didn't know how to respond. I have known Jake for many years and I exactly know what type of person he is. I couldn't believe he did something like that. Also, I have never seen him drunk. No. No. There has to be some misunderstanding or someone is trying to break them apart. Sarah. You are a smart girl. Can't you understand there is some kind of a misunderstanding, I said. There is no misunderstanding, Shane. I told you everything, now let me go, she said. I didn't really know what to do. Anyway, I let her go. But I promised myself not to let her marry that BD no matter what happened. Jake can never cheat on Sarah. This is just a trap. I will make her see that. Chapter 116, Sarah's POV. Shane's released his grip on my shoulder and let me go. I know he is hurt and confused, but what can I do? I am really sorry, my brother, I want to tell you the truth about everything, but then you won't let me do what I am going to do. You will put yourself in danger because of me. I am fed up with seeing my loving ones getting hurt. I have to put an end to this. I went upstairs, to my parents' room. Mom was still lying on her bed, and Dad was sitting nearby her. Andrew was standing there talking with them. As they heard my footsteps, they all turned their heads to my direction. Mr. Patterson told us you have a special announcement to make, Dad said. He looked so happy. Yes, I said casually. I heard Shane was coming up too. It will be hard to tell this in front of him, so better to say it before he comes here. "I like to marry Mr. Patterson," I said without any emotions. "Oh. God. Finally. You answered my prayers," Mom said. "She is definitely over the moon right now. We are so happy to have you as our son-in-law," Dad said, offering his hand to Andrew. "The pleasure is mine, sir. I am so glad to be a part of this family." Without shaking hands with Dad, Andrew hugged him. "He is our psychology lecturer, after all. He puts all psychology theories to work and attract people to him. My little girl is going to be a bride soon. Come here, darling. Give Mom a warm hug." Mom said, spreading her hands. Her happiness was overflowing. "In my entire life, I cannot remember even a single day my mom wanted to hug me. I can't even remember a day when she talked to me with so much love. Go, Sarah. Give your mom a warm hug. She needs that today more than any other day," Andrew said. He made sure to highlight the last sentence. Shane had come there by that time. I am sure he had heard everything. His face was twisted with anger and disappointment. I walked to Mom like a robot and gave her a hug. "Oh. My girl. You made all of us so happy," Mom said, tightening her arms around me and kissing my head. My mom should win Oscar for her acting. If I didn't know that her attempt to suicide is just a fabrication, how worried I would be. I felt really sorry about Shane. He doesn't know how cunning his mom truly is. That poor fellow is worrying about Mom so much. I don't remember anything about how Mom treated me when I was a kid. Since I can remember, she has never treated me nicely. I had a lower place than a maid in this house. But I have never hated my mom until today. After knowing she agreed to fake a suicide attempt to make me marry Andrew, it made me loathe her. How a mom is capable of doing something like that to her own children. Anyway, that is how my mom is. She always willing to do anything to get what she wants, but I wonder why Dad agreed to do such a thing? At least he must think about Shane and me. So, Mr. Anderson, I don't think we should wait for a long time for the engagement. We can have the wedding after Sarah graduated, but engagement we can have it soon," Andrew said. He seemed so satisfied. Of course, he should be. Finally, he got what he wants. "Of course, Mr. Patterson. We should have the engagement soon," Dad replied. "Let's have a grand engagement. After all, we have only one daughter," Mom said happily. "Really, Mom? Did you even think you have a daughter in the past few years? You want to have grand engagement because you can show off among your friends. You always want to show off. Shane. Come here, son. Did you hear the happy news?" Mom asked. She has seen Shane only now, though he has been here for some time now. I have become so important to her so that Shane's presence is no longer her focus. I have heard everything. There is only one thing I can't understand. What you three have done to change my sister. But I am going to find it soon. Also, Mom, you looked pretty healthy and strong now. I am so glad. Shane replied in a sarcastic voice and left. It is definitely going to be hard to continue my act with Shane, I thought, looking at the direction he left. So guys, are you all feel a bit confused right now? Well, let me clear that for you. Let me take you a few hours back. What happened when we were at the hospital? To be exact, what happened after I left Marina? I left the room without saying a word to Marina. I was so confused and heartbroken. I couldn't even understand what I must do next. Jake can never cheat me, my heart was screaming at me. Then what about those texts, my mind was questioning me. Above all these, what will happen to my Jake if I don't agree with what Mr. Patterson wants from me? Is making him mine worth than keeping him safe? No. Mine or not, he must be safe. I turned back. I wanted to talk to Marina again. She was still there in the same room. I thought you would come, she said as soon as I opened the door. I want to see Jake before making a decision, I said. Okay, she said thoughtfully. After seeing the pain and danger he is facing right now, I believe you will make a good decision that would save his life, she added. She took me to Jake. She stayed near the door and let me go near Jake. I felt like my heart shattered to millions of pieces after seeing Jake. His whole head and forehead were covered. He was connected to many machines, I don't even know. With all the wires and tubes connected to him, he still looked so peaceful and calm. Also, extraordinarily handsome. I kept my palm on his face and started to caress him softly. I ran my fingers to his closed eyes. Those eyes never left my face when we're with each other. Those eyes always peeped at me secretly even when we are not alone. Those eyes never stopped near any other girl's face other than me. Then my fingers ran to his lips. Those soft lips made me feel heavenly every time they touched me. Those lips were on my ear, tickling me whenever he said he loves me more than anything. How stupid am I to even think for a minute that Jake cheated me? He can never do something like that. She can put something to his drink and make him drunk. Then get what she needs from my Jake, but my Jake will never give that thing to her willingly. Those texts. Well. They have pulled some tricks there. Even if he had sex with her when he was not in his right mind, he will never ever enjoy it. He will regret it, and he will feel disgusted himself for doing something like that. Please forgive me, babe, for not trusting you even for a second. However, your dad, Marina, and Andrew, all these people are against us, and they have planned all those things perfectly to break our relationship. But our relationship is stronger than they can even imagine. Not just them, even God can't break our relationship. But, I have to first think about your safety. At the moment if I don't agree with what this BD wants, your life is in total danger. Not just your life, my parents, Shane, Luke, all these people are in danger. So I have to agree to marry him, babe, even though thinking about it makes me want to stab myself. When you find out I agree to marry him, you will definitely guess I did that to protect you. I can't even imagine how aggressively you would react then. It will put yourself back in danger, my love. I can't let it happen. So I am going to pretend like I believe you cheated on me. I will let other people also think I agreed to marry him because I get disappointed since you cheated me. I know it is going to hurt you a really lot, but what can I do? It is not going to be easy for me as well, but we both have to go through this for some time. I am going to make this man pay for everything he did to us, but it will take some time. So let's wait some more time, love. I just wish I can tell you everything, but I know you will never let me do what am I going to do now? I kept a small kiss on his lips. Until we can be together again, my love. After coming out of ICU, I told Marina that I agree with what they have asked. She smiled happily. She may think now she can have my Jake to herself. Well, I am sorry to say this, dear, but Jake is mine. Whatever is going to happen, it is temporary. She took me to another room. Mr. McMillar was there, and Mr. Patterson was too. When Marina told them about my decision, they both became so happy. Especially, Mr. Patterson. Sarah, you made me the happiest on the earth, he said, smiling happily. Then they discussed more things related to this, but I didn't pay much attention to any of those. Though I made the decision already and I was not totally confident about it. What if my plan doesn't go well? What if this decision made Jake and me apart forever? I was battling with my mind. Sarah, Mr. Patterson said, bringing me back to reality. We don't want Jake to think that you agreed to marry Andrew to save him. Mr. McMiller said. Okay, I said briefly. We have to play a small drama to make everyone believe that you made this decision because of your parents, he then said. That's how this whole fake suicide thing came to the play. They need everyone, including Jake, Luke, Shane, and my parents to believe it. Andrew asked my parents to play their part, and my parents have no idea that I know the truth about it. I wonder how they would feel if they knew it. They may want to dig a pit and bury themselves alive if they at least knew what shame is. But my parents know nothing about shame. They are just willing to do any shameless thing to get what they want. I know all these things sound still confusing. It is confusing for me too. Hope I can make everything all right pretty soon. I came out of my parents' room and walked back to the living room. Andrew followed me there. We need to have the engagement soon, he said as I was not there when he said the same thing to my parents. Without saying anything, I nodded. We can have it this week itself. You don't have to do anything. I will arrange everything, but you can choose your dress and all those fancy things according to your will, he said. If I can't get engaged according to my will, what is the point of just selecting a dress according to my will? I asked, smiling sarcastically. Without saying anything, he stared at my face for a few seconds. I know, Sarah. The method I used to make you mine is not pleasant, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. I love you so much, I don't even know how to explain it. We can have a happy life together. I will treat you like a queen. Just forget the past. He said, looking into my eyes. Jake is also not the person I thought he is. He doesn't deserve so many like you. I don't even know how he cheated on a girl like you. He added. So, you know Jake has cheated on me? I asked. Yes, Marina told me, he said casually. If she told you something like that, she must be one of your closest friends, I said. Not just a close friend, Sarah. She was Lily's best friend. She is like my little sister, he said, making me so surprised. Did Jake know that? I asked involuntarily. No. If he knew, do you think he will agree to even pretend to have a relationship with her? He asked, laughing. However, Sarah. Marina had a big crush on Jake for a long time now. She could see her chances with Jake, and finally, she won. She could make Jake fall into her charm. Even I didn't believe she will be able to do that. He is now crazy about her, he said. So this was a well-planned game from the beginning. I could understand Mr. Patterson's part, but Marina. I never thought she had such intentions at the beginning. How clever is she? She is a disgrace to Woman 00D. If I can, I will just kill both of them together. The rest of the audiobooks will be uploaded in the next episode. Join us on Patreon to listen to more unlimited audiobooks.